Yes, page 14. We're going to 21. Page 14. Is everybody opened up to page 14?
Yeah.
Okay, I want everybody to follow along and pay attention. We'll be answering some of the questions, and then some of them you can do on your own. Leah, open your book. Are you able to find your book? How does that thing fall? All right, page 14. Follow along.
Why do biologists classify organisms? So far, scientists have identified more than 1 million kinds of organisms on Earth. That's a large number, and it keeps growing as scientists discover new organisms. Imagine how difficult it would be to find information about one particular organism if you had no idea even where to begin. It would be a lot easier if similar organisms were placed into groups. Organizing living things into groups is exactly what biologists have done. Biologists group organisms based on similarities, just as grocers group milk with dairy products and tomatoes with other produce. Classification is the process of grouping things based on their similarities, as shown in Figure 1. Biologists use classification to organize living things into groups so that the organisms are easier to study. The scientific study of how organisms are classified is called taxonomy. Taxonomy is useful because once an organism is classified, a scientist knows a lot of information about that organism. For example, if you know that a crow is classified as a bird, then you know that a crow has wings, feathers, and a beak.
All right, so we will look at Figure 1 on page 15. It says classifying insects. These bees and wasps belong to a large insect collection in a natural history museum. They have been classified according to their characteristics they share. So it's telling you to observe. Look at that picture right there where all the bees are. It says, what characteristics do you think may have been used to group these insects? The wings, yes. What else? The what? The color, yes, that's correct. Anything else? Yes, the legs.
Size.
The size. Yes, you got them all. So it'd be your size, your color, your wing shape, and your leg length. Size, color, and wing shape. Yeah. Your legs. And once you're done with writing that down, then turn to page 16. Then we'll start with page 16.
The naming system of Linnaeus. Taxonomy also involves naming organisms. In the 1730s, the Swedish botanist Carolus Linnaeus devised a system of naming organisms that is still used today. Linnaeus placed organisms in groups based on their observable features. Each organism was given a unique, two-part scientific name. This system is called binomial nomenclature. Binomial means two names. Genus and species. The first word in an organism's scientific name is its genus. A genus, plural, genera, is a classification grouping that contains similar, closely related organisms. As shown in Figure 2 below, house cats and marbled cats are classified in the genus Felis. Organisms that are classified in the genus Felis share characteristics such as sharp, retractable claws and behaviors such as hunting other animals. The second word in a scientific name often describes a distinctive feature of an organism, such as where it lives or its appearance. Together, the two words form the scientific name of a unique kind of organism. A species is a group of similar organisms that can mate with each other and produce offspring that can also mate and reproduce.
Using binomial nomenclature. A complete scientific name is written in italics. Only the first letter of the first word in a scientific name is capitalized. Notice that scientific names contain Latin words. Linnaeus used Latin words in his naming system because Latin was the language that scientists used during that time. Binomial nomenclature makes it easy for scientists to communicate about an organism because everyone uses the same scientific name for the same organism. Using different names or common names for the same organism can get very confusing, as Figure 3 describes.
Okay, so we will go back to your Figure 2 on page 16 and we'll go over your binomial nomenclature. It says these three different species of cats were once classified in the same genus based on their structures and behavior. But other types of evidence led scientists to classify the puma in genus Puma. So it says, suppose someone told you that a jungle cat is classified in the same genus as house cats. What characteristics and behaviors do you think a jungle cat might have? Yes, Tavis. Like a characteristic of it. What does it have? A what?
Less fur or less fur?
It has fur, right? So that's a characteristic. So you can write fur down. What else does it have?
4 legs.
Yep, it has 4 legs. Anybody else? Kenyon.
Claws.
It has what kind of claws? Retractable claws. Does everybody know how to spell retractable?
No.
Retractable claws.
Is it big?
Can you see it?
Yeah.
So some characteristics would be see this retractable claws right here? There's that one. And then what else do they do? So they
Hunt other animals.
yes, hunt other animals. So you guys, they're listed. It has 4 legs. It has fur. It has retractable claws, and it hunts other animals. Then those are the ones that you can write down. You can add more if you want to. will go on to your figure 3 on page 17. Did everybody get done writing that one? Okay. Raise your hand if you got it done. Okay. Did you get it done too? Oh, they all got it done. Okay, so figure 3, what are you talking about? That is on page 17. Right here. It says, is this animal a groundhog, a woodchuck, a marmot, or whistle pig?
Woodchuck.
Marmot.
Woodchuck. Squirrel.
Woodchuck.
Marmot.
Okay, so depending on where you live, all of these names are correct. Luckily, this animal has only one scientific name, Marmota monax. So it's asking you to describe how is a scientific name written. So what did it say in your first paragraph on page 17? How scientific
name is written in
italics. So how is a scientific name written? It is written in italics. Can you see it? Decimus? Now we'll do the math. When you're ready to move on to do the math, raise your hand. Okay. It says Aristotle in classification. Aristotle, an ancient Greek scholar, also developed a classification system for animals. It says animals with blood. So animals that swim, how much percent is it at? 32%. How about animals that fly? 46. And then animals that walk, run, or hop? 22%. So it's telling you to read the graph right there. Which group made up the largest percentage of animals?
animals that walk.
Yeah, animals that fly. That's for number 1. Then for number 2, it's telling you to calculate. So it says blank percent of these animals either fly or swim. So you would add both of those percentages up and you should get your total.
78.
So how much is that?
78.
78%.
Is that the answer? 78%?
Yes. Okay, now number 3, it says classify. What new categories would you use to make a graph that classify animals that move in more than one way? So it's asking you to group, make a classification for animal that moves like one way. So how do they move?
Slow.
One would, besides, what's a movement? Besides animals that they don't run, they walk. And then what would be another one? They can walk and fly. So that would be one category. They can walk and fly. So animals that fly and walk, that would be like your eagles and pigeons. So that would be one category.
So run and walk?
Yeah.
Animals that fly.
Yes, and then animals that fly, walk, and what else can they do?
Run.
In the water. Swim. So, can anybody name an animal that can?
The dog. Fish. A duck.
Turtle.
Dolphin.
Yeah. So you can put examples like that.
Penguin. I think a dog.
Walk, fly. They can't fly though, and swim. So that's another category. So animals that can fly, walk, and swim. And then animals that fly and walk. So those will be two different categories. So once you're done, we'll move on to assess your understanding.
Walk and swim or fly, walk and swim?
Animals that fly and walk. And the other ones would be fly, walk, and swim. Okay, so assess your understanding. 1A, it says define. The scientific study of how living things are classified is called... Does anybody remember what we had over here on the wall yesterday?
Taxonomy, classification.
Okay, so then what the scientific study of how living things are classified is called? Taxonomy.
How do you spell that? Taxomy. Taxomy. Taxonomy. Taxonomy. Okay, we're on 1B, making generalizations. What is the advantage of using scientific names instead of using common names like cat or dog? So when you're using a scientific name, what does it do for a scientist? It makes it more... what does it make it? Does it make it harder for them?
Easier.
Or easier? Okay, so when you're using a scientific name, it makes it more easier for the scientist.
Whenever you
It makes it, yeah. When you're using scientific names, it makes it more easier for the scientist. And then you got it, you answer that question yourself. And then we'll be on page 18. When you're done, turn to page 18.
What are the levels of classification? The classification system that scientists use today is based on the contributions of Linnaeus. But today's classification system uses a series of many levels to classify organisms. To help you understand the levels of classification, imagine a room filled with everybody who lives in your state. First, all of the people who live in your own town raise their hands. Then those who live in your neighborhood raise their hands. Then those who live on your street raise their hands. Finally, those who live in your house raise their hands. Each time, fewer people raise their hands. The more levels you share with others, the more you have in common with them. The major levels of classification. Of course, organisms are not grouped by where they live, but by their shared characteristics. Most biologists today classify organisms into the levels shown in Figure 4. First, an organism is placed in a broad group, which in turn is divided into more specific groups. A domain is the broadest level of organization. Within a domain, there are kingdoms. Within kingdoms, there are phyla, singular, phylum. Within phyla are classes. Within classes are orders. Within orders are families. Each family contains one or more genera. Finally, each genus contains one or more species. The more classification levels two organisms share, the more characteristics they have in common, and the more closely related they are.
Okay, so on page 19, if you can look there, it has how many levels of classification there?
8.
It has 8. So you're going to use that to help you figure out your questions on page 18. So out of 1, 2, or 3, which one do you guys want me to help you with? 2? Which should we vote on it? Okay, if you want question 1, raise your hand. Okay, how about question 2? Okay, how about question 3? Nobody?
Oh no, 2. I vote for 2. I was just do 3.
Does everybody want to do 3?
Yeah.
I said 3.
Because you're going to answer the other questions on your own.
Do 5.
So 3? We'll do 3. Okay, observe. It says list the characteristics that organisms share at the genus level. So looking on your graph, what characteristics do the genus classification share? They have, what's the same about them?
They're both owls.
They both have, what, forward-facing eyes?
You're both the
They both have beaks.
Yep, they both have, what kind of beaks are they? Hooked beaks. They both have hooked beaks. They have also, what kind of face do they have?
Square.
A round face. And then, what is their shape? Their shape is the same, right? Looking at it? Okay, so it'd be your body shape. They have a hooked beak. They have a round face. So those are 3 things that you can write down. Their body shape. Then I'll go over number 4 and 5 with you guys. It says, let me know when you guys are done with 3. Raise your hand. Okay, there's still a few writing.
Wait, on on the first one, do we have to how much things you have to put? Just 2 or 3?
2. Okay, is everybody done? Raise your hand if you are. Dismiss? Are you done? How about you? Okay. So number 4, draw conclusions. How does the number of shared characteristics on your list change at each level? So looking at that list, how is it changing? By 1, but it's also what? Getting
Smaller.
when you're going up.
Oh, it's getting bigger.
Yes, it's getting larger. So the closer to the species level, the longer the list is getting. So write that down. The closer to the species level, the longer your list is getting. The closer to the species level, the longer the list gets.
Is that number 4?
That's for number 4.
I'm done.
You're done with all your questions? Okay, if you're done with number 4, then I want you to raise your hand so I know who's still working on it. Dismiss. Okay. The closer to the species level, the longer the list gets.
Number 5 is dog.
And then number 5 should be pretty easy.
Ow.
It says interpret diagrams. Robins have more in common with
Ow.
owls.
Did I tell you, didn't you, when I'm done?
And then your questions 1 and 2 you do on your own. Then we have one more section to go over. And this last section, I might let you guys do it on your own because this is like, it's pretty simple. Is everybody, when you're done, turn to page 20. You guys can do that at the end of class, your questions 1 and 2. So you need to flip to the next page if you're done with question number 5.
So we just read that 1, 2, and 3 on the next page, 1.
Yep.
Do we name them?
Junia. Oh, Junia. We have turn your paper. You guys can follow along to this one. This is a little short paragraph.
How are taxonomic keys useful? Why should you care about taxonomy? Suppose that you are watching television and feel something tickling your foot. Startled, you look down and see a tiny creature crawling across your toes. Although it's only the size of a small melon seed, you don't like the looks of its 2 claws waving at you. Then, in a flash, it's gone. How could you find out what the creature was? You could use a field guide. Field guides are books with illustrations that highlight differences between similar-looking organisms. You could also use a taxonomic key. Taxonomic keys are useful tools that help determine the identity of organisms. A taxonomic key consists of a series of paired statements that describe the various physical characteristics of different organisms. The taxonomic key shown in Figure 5 can help you identify the mysterious organism.
Okay, so in figure 5, it says interactive art. It says identifying organisms. The 6 paired statements in this taxonomic key describe the physical characteristics of different organisms. Now it's telling you to identify. Blank different organisms can be identified using this key. How many organisms do you see on the pages 20 and 21?
6.
7. There's 7 of them. So there's 7 different organisms that can be identified using this key. So you can write the number 7.
Wait, is that one of the answers?
It's right here.
I'm just going to write that.
You can if you want to. And then it says the mysterious organism is, well, it's asking you what this is right here. What do you think it is? By looking at the graph, look at the measurement, what do you think this is right here?
A tick. I think it's a tick.
How much millimeters is it? What did you say? Okay, yep, it is a mite because then it says 0.4 millimeters. That's how little that is. If you look at your graph here, it's telling you what is less than 1 millimeter long. Right here, see it on 4A? It's telling you that's a mite. So the mysterious organism is a mite.
So is that MIGHT?
See the way it's spelled right here? Look in your book.
I just wrote that one here.
Okay, and then apply it. Questions 1 through 3. You guys can do those on your own. So quietly, you guys need to get questions on page 21, 1 through 3, and then on page 18, 1 and 2. So on page 18, you have questions 1 and 2. 1 and 2, and then on page 21 you have 1 through 3.
We did on this up here. We did put the
Yeah. 1 through 3. What is it? Okay, get 1 and 2, and then 1 through 3. What did you get?
This one's mine. Where's that?
And then you have to answer this one too. And then you do these ones, and then get all these other ones. No, you did. And then those two.
Then we're done.
Remember to assess your understanding to make sure that if you got it or not. Is all of them? Here, bring your book. Show me how it goes. I want to look at it to see if you're done. So this one would be, okay, what I would do, I would write figure 1, so you know that it goes to this. And then this one goes to this one?
Yeah.
So then you need to write like figure 2. This one is for this one, right?
Yeah.
And we've got 4. Okay, so then you do, so this will be your questions for, so these 3?
Yeah.
So then you go like this, and then these are all for your do the math. And just label them so you know what they are. Like see, this one says 1A, and then you go 1B, like that. Explain your answer. Okay. gotta get through the got it one. So that when we know that you see. This one. Okay? Then you'll be done. Dismiss and Kenyon. Are you guys getting busy?
Wait, on these ones, what should I put? Because it goes from 9 to
Right here.
13, I think.
Figure and then write the number.
Figure 4.
And then write the number for each of them.
I know that one. Is this the tip?
It has measurements. See right here?
Uh-huh.
So you gotta look at your measurements and look at the graph right there.
So that's mic, huh?
What was this right here?
That's a mic.
Okay. And then when you're looking at this, what was this?
A tick. Really?
Yeah.
It's a tick? Oh.
Yep.
What is that? I told you it was a mic.
It's telling you right here. It's going by like. You gotta read it.
Mic. It's a centipede. It's a centipede.
Oh, there. I just put figure 4, 9 to 13.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Getting it?
Yeah.
How about you? I'm done. You're done. Everyone look. This one.
Oh, this one?
That's the last one. Remember, don't forget to do your assess your understanding so we know that if you get it or you need extra help with something.
I have to do these here, Andrew.
Yep.
Information could you have? What could have been helpful in identifying these organisms? What else could be helpful? What kind of characteristics? Besides their measurement, what do they all have? What do they all have? What are these? What else could have been helpful to identify all of them? Shapes? Yeah, the shape. Yep. We'll write some, just write down like 3 of them.
On page 18, written on the board. Okay. And then are y'all caught up in like your work and everything? You got your quiz done? You're not on the IC list? Okay. Then we can get a laptop and jump on iStock. Then you're cut up, right? Okay, get a laptop and get on iStock.
I'm done.
That's okay. You have a notebook?
Yeah.
Put it in your notebook. What? You have this one is just asking you a question. If you think, is this information necessary? And then explain your answer. And then this one is just asking you to identify what other information would be helpful in you identifying these. Like, say, what do they have in common?
Legs.
Write it down.
Do we read these questions?
It's asking you a question. Is this information right here necessary for the key in figure 5? It's asking you a question.
Huh?
You guys need, this is your first warning, you guys need to get busy.
What is that? Where they got eyes?
Dismiss.
I can't see the eyes. Yes, you did.
Yeah, you can. Take the pass. What do you think that is? It has a whole bunch of legs, right?
Jeez.
So when you're looking over here, it's giving you some of the answers.
I think they got.
See what it says? That is a what?
Wait, I need help.
Oh.
What time is it?
Hold on, I'll put the timer on. Have about 8 minutes. What do you need help with?
No.
This one we went over together.
No.
Which one? How much was it?
Forgot.
How much? Right here, there's. You need to count all these.
There's 6.
Plus this one.
7.
So write that down. And then it's asking you to name what this is.
Tick.
And then what is this?
I don't know.
What does it look like?
A scorpion.
Yep. What about this?
Spider.
Yeah, right, just write it in.
Yeah, but I don't know what these things are.
Right here, telling you. Has no claw-like pincers, so that's that.
Yes, spider.
And then it has a long tail with a stinger. That's that. And then has one pair of legs on each body segment.
There's
Millipede. You'll be done when you have your assessed your
yeah.
like you got it. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you bring it over here? I'll look at it. Open this one.
Got to. Check that out.
Okay. Okay.
Put it up.
Yeah, put it back. And then do you have any anything more? How about, did you get your quiz? Oh, they don't have quiz. No. Okay. Then get a laptop and get on Excel. Do you guys have like maybe about 5 minutes left? What other information could have been helpful in identifying these organisms? What do they all have in common?
Tails.
Legs. Yeah. And the bell's gonna ring here pretty soon.
Tails.
Are you done? You can keep working until the bell rings.
Terraces. So I did it again.
Wala. The shape, right? What's another characteristic? How are they different?
Some have claws and some don't.
Okay, and then what about their color? Bright color in there. These kids, I don't remember the name. Can you get that? What is that? What does it look like? Can you write that down? Insert to the... This one. And we'll go over that one together. You just need to do the got it one when you're done. Okay. Are you? How about these ones? Did you get these ones?
Oh,
Are we gonna do your, if you got it?
now I know that the levels are possible.
You guys have about 1 more minute. You can go ahead and put your workbooks away. The bell is going to ring. Done. This way, and there it goes in there.
What was this one?
You guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure to push in your chairs, please. See ya.
This is the mic. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah.
The name?
Oh. Here, keep it with me so you can hear me all day. Okay, go ahead, your hand. Turn it in.